Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Betting Show Week 14, brought to you by freebets.com, the very best free bet offers, brought to you daily by the Free Bets team. Adam, you are one of the writers for the Free Bets team and give us all the best NFL articles. I know there's lots more out there. You said Ashes, there's golf, there's football, there's F1, I think, as well. It's all going quite well for you at the minute with Free Bets. You're doing some nice articles. You've got some nice pieces coming out.
Nice articles. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's going fine. Loads of stuff over there, as you said, all them sports you can go and check out. We had a winner on Sunday. We had an accumulator fivefold that came in, nice 13-2 winner. I know it's a little bit short for you greedy little bugger, but for everyone else, very, very happy. So that's good news, and hopefully we will get another one this Sunday, as that article will be going out on probably Sunday morning, I would have thought. So yeah, lots of stuff over there.
Amazing. We have already had one game in the books. It split the franchise tag in half because two of us were on the Detroit side, two of us were on the Dallas side. The game ended 44-30 in favor of the Lions. So that's me and Freddie correct, you and Sky incorrect. High scoring game, really exciting to watch. Thoughts?
I would like to claim one reason as to why I went the way I went, and
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Thank you. What the hell? The man was broken last week.
Absolute fantastic tactics from Detroit to leave it till the last minute to go.
Liars.
In he comes.
Dirty little liars. That's the problem, you see. You can't trust these lions. They lie. So this is the problem, isn't it? That completely changed everything. Because you saw what they were like against the Packers without him, and the offense really struggled to get anything going. And then all of a sudden, he comes back. They look great. Look, I think the thing that surprised me the most, I was surprised at how poor the Cowboys' run defense was. Considering
it's been really good over the last
since
the trade deadline and the bringing in Quillen Williams and things like that, and obviously getting Kenny Clark and things like that. It has been really, really good. I feel like it did well.
It gave up 3 rushing touchdowns to Jahmyr Gibbs, one of which was right down the middle.
They gave up 3 rushing touchdowns, but they held Gibbs for the majority of the game, and that Monty big one was a broke tackle. But other than that, it wasn't like they absolutely dominated them on the ground in the middle of the field.
So other than the 4 touchdowns that they gave up to the run.
Yeah. But I mean, I said this. So one of our friends is part of the franchise tag, Ben. He said to me, I've got a fantasy question. Can you help me out? He says, I've got Kareem Hunt and Monty. Who shall I play? I said, I'd go down the Monty front because I feel like Detroit would be able to move the ball down the field. And then once he's in the end zone, although Dallas have got a good run defense, you can punch it in from that zone. And it's almost like, they can stop the run, but can you stop it from the goal line? So I felt like that was more of a tactic than dominating the run during the mid part of the field.
Yeah. I was surprised that they struggled with that. I thought they would have done better considering what they've done in the previous few weeks, and also I know both teams had the same amount of time off, but you sort of think it's not like it was only a week either. It was like a bit of a half bye type thing with it being on Thanksgiving. So I was surprised that they struggled as much. I felt like the Lions kind of always had them in hand a little bit. There was one moment where I think the Lions were 10 points behind, and in the fourth quarter, and there was a offensive pass interference call on Jake Ferguson, wasn't it?
There was
I'm not sure.
OPI that was a bit dubious.
There was one, and I think it was Ferguson. He just sort of came across the defender, and it just felt like it wasn't really anything had happened, and that ended up becoming a field goal and they were 7 points behind, and then they just sort of like went off and scored again, and that was the end of it. So there was a little moment where you sort of felt like the Cowboys could have maybe got back into it, but for the majority of it, it did feel like the Lions pretty much had them in hand.
Yeah, I think prior to the week, even with the injuries, I was listening to a lot of stuff, and they haven't lost back-to-back games in so long now, and which they had done. So this would be the third loss in a row, and I just felt like at home, Jared Goff's inside, it'd be fine. I just couldn't see, even without Amon-Ra St. Brown, I peppered Isaac Tesla quite big in some bets. Luckily, that's even though Amon-Ra came back, the Tesla bets was still on. He got the touchdown as well, so that was quite fortunate. But I thought with the two running backs they have, Jameson Williams and Tesla, I thought they could still get it done. So they've kept themselves in the running.
I do think that's probably it though for the Cowboys. I think they will now. They needed to win out in order to get in the playoffs, I think. So
they were in the hunt, as you like, and I feel like that just puts them behind so many people now. So unfortunate. It was a good little run for them, and as we've said on the main show, I think it looks bright as a New York Giants fan. I think it looks bright for Dallas in the future. I think their offense is popping, and those 2 first-round picks, and the fact they've got that run defense sorted, I think it does look good for them going forward. So, let's move on to this week's games then. None of the fun graphics. It's been a busy week. Again, it's that time of year for me. But Bet365 held up last time we used it, so...
that time of year for you? What are you, a Santa in a mall or something?
I think, you
got the beard. You can whiten up that beard a bit. And,
modern day Santa. I sent you the odds over from the bets. I'm always looking at them. I start looking at them on Monday. I track them where it's going. I try to send them as late as I can on Thursday. So in the hope that they don't move too much. But there was some big news that came out. So my first one that I've got down has changed dramatically already. So I went with the Washington Commanders at +2 against the Minnesota Vikings. As you can see right there on the screen, it's now -1.5 to the Commanders. So you can't get those odds anymore. It's down to the fact that Jaden Daniels had a full practice and is going to start. I felt like it was trending that way last week. So I thought it was definitely going to be ready for this week, which is why I was like, And even without him, I felt like that Commanders offense would be better than a JJ McCarthy-led Vikings offense, which would probably end up overthrowing people, throwing interceptions, leaning on Aaron Jones a lot, and I just don't think they could have got it done. So I was happy to take the Commanders regardless if Daniels was out or not, and I'm still going to take them at -1.5 as well, because I think they've got more than a field goal in them to beat the Vikings. I just don't think Vikings have enough on offense with the quarterback choices that they've got. I can't see them getting it done against this Commanders team.
Yeah, I agree. It's to be honest, there's not really a lot left to be said. I must admit, I kind of went down the mindset where I was very much, I'm not really that bothered who their quarterback is. I was very much like, if it's Mariota and you're giving me +2, then I'm interested. The fact that it's Jaden Daniels and you're giving me -1.5, then I'm interested. I think the only thing that really changes from that in my mind is that Zach Ertz probably becomes a bit more of a touchdown scorer. I think that we saw against the Broncos last week that there's still some fight in this Commanders team, and there's still some talent there, and they're not a complete disaster. So I think to be able to go into overtime against a very strong Broncos defense and still look, I mean, The only reason they lost is because they went for it. They could have carried on and it'd be 27 points each and possibly end up tying the game. But because they went for it and it didn't quite work out, it was just a bit unlucky for them. But they look like a team that have that fight still in them, and so I think because of that they are worth keeping on side. There are some teams in the NFL you look at, they're out now. I think this weekend we'll see whether or not there's still that fight left in them now that they're out of the contention for the playoffs. The Vikings, it's been a rough ride, and I think last week was kind of the epitome of it when they went away to Seattle and had Max Brosmer as their rookie quarterback playing his first game and couldn't even get a point against the Seahawks. And it doesn't really matter if it's him. Well, I think it's meant to be JJ McCarthy, isn't it? He's meant to be coming back, but I just don't see much coming from him, to be honest, and from the Vikings in general. Like you say, it probably will be pretty heavy run game. And, the Commanders' defense are a team that have given up lots of yards against the run, so they might be able to get some success that way. But all in all, I think you're looking at a Vikings team that maybe puts up, 14, 17 points at the top. I think with Jaden Daniels there, Terry McLaurin back and actually looking all right last week. Zach Ertz is out there. I think you've got a Commanders team here who could quite easily put up like 25 to 30 points. So -1.5, yeah, no problem with it at all.
Yeah, I think in terms of betting as well, Chris Rodriguez has looked really good over the last few weeks. And I think with Jaden Daniels in there as well, I think that just opens up Chris Rodriguez a bit more for the betting as well. And as you said, Debo, McLaurin, Zach Ertz, all back. I did say before the season started, I was worried about this Commanders team due to the age of them being a concern. But I feel like they've had the injuries, they've weathered them, they're now back and they're a bit fitter coming into the stretch. I think they will want to finish with the best record possible so they can prove that last year wasn't a fluke and, they've had injuries, but there's still progression. If they regress too much, I think there might be hot seat for next year in terms of some of the staff, if that's the case. So I think they will want to end strong. As we said, the Vikings, they've done everything they can to make sure they protect JJ McCarthy by these mysterious injuries that don't exist. The longest ankle sprain ever, followed by a concussion that he must have picked up on the bus home. To put him back out there again and potentially ruin his reputation a bit more is a risk for them, and I think it's not going to pay off. So
I suppose they don't really have a choice, do they?
No, they haven't.
Like they're kind of in that position where they don't have much of a choice. They have to play him. When they had Carson Wentz out there, he was like broken in multiple places, and yet they were still unwilling to put Brosmer out there. And it was almost like, so we have to put Brosmer out there last week. Now that they've got the opportunity with JJ McCarthy, in theory, is back from this injury, that it means that he can play. And so they don't have much other choice. It's like they have to put him out there. They have to. I think he's one of them where he's clearly desperately in need of playing games. But I just don't think it's going to really amount to much.
The next game I've gone for is the Miami Dolphins, right there just below, at -3 at the New York Jets. I feel like of lately there's been a bit of momentum with the Dolphins. I feel like they've started to pick up on offense a little bit more. I think Achane is definitely cemented himself as one of the top running backs in the league at the moment. I think, he's very underrated for what he's achieved in the short time he's been in the NFL, despite the injuries. And he's firing on all cylinders at the minute. I think he's probably one of the most reliable and consistent running backs there's been. He's sort of overtaken Jonathan Taylor a little bit of recently with how slow he's been. So I think Achane's they can lean on him. Waddle's played very nicely. Washington's been good. Defense, yeah, it's still got question marks on it, but it's okay. And the Jets just haven't really got anything to answer with, I don't think. I think the defense hasn't been as good as what we all expect it to be. They haven't really got a quarterback to deliver the ball at all. Garrett Wilson's out. I don't think you can lean on Breece Hall. I think he works better in a committee. So I just can't see much being generated from this Jets offense. And I think Dolphins have got something going on. And I think a lot of the players and coach and staff are playing for their jobs as well. So a victory here for them means a lot. Whereas the Jets, I think they know where they're at and they know where the problems are. So I don't think they're expecting too much more from the end of the season. So I'm going to take the Dolphins down the push at -3.
Yeah, I don't mind the -3 on the Dolphins, actually. I think that we're seeing, aren't we, so Chris Greer obviously got fired as the general manager, but Mike McDaniel stayed, and it kind of feels like they've sort of galvanized around him a little bit, and they are getting the odd win here and there, and they're starting to look a little bit better than what they were at the beginning of the season. It kind of almost makes you feel a little bit like he might be around next year with what's going on there. So it does feel like there's a bit more. As you say, Devon Achane has looked great and kind of is a bit underrated. I think he's just not. He's just. It's weird, isn't it? It's almost like he's considered a passing back, and that's kind of all he's considered. But in reality, he's actually pretty good as just a normal running back as well. So I think that you've got a good few pieces there on this Dolphins team. Darren Waller being back, I think, is a huge red zone target, so that's great for them as well. And like you say, when it comes to the Jets, I think that they, like you said, they kind of know where they are. Nothing's going to change there now, I don't think, and it just kind of feels a little bit like they're lacking in talent, given the fact that Garrett Wilson's probably still out injured. So it is that feeling where it's almost like it's Breece Hall and that's all there is when it comes to the offense. And the defense is okay. It's not doing too bad, but it's not great. So I think overall it does feel like maybe the Dolphins and the players are playing specifically for their head coach quite a lot and have been and will probably want to keep that going throughout the rest of this season. So yeah, I think it's within the field goal. They're not going up against an explosive offense at all here. So I think that it kind of feels like it is sort of siding slightly towards the Dolphins for this matchup as to who's going to win it. So yeah, the -3 is not bad. It's one of the better ones this week. There's some really big ones this week, and it's difficult. But yeah, the -3 is not bad, and I think that they've probably got a pretty decent chance of winning it this week. Yeah,
you've got to think that the draft pick now means more to the draft picks means more to the Jets. Yeah, going forward now. Than it does to the Dolphins. The next game I have gone for, a bit of a controversial one, is the -4. Are they still? They're still -4. Is the -4 on the Cleveland Browns at the Tennessee Titans? At the Cleveland Browns against the Tennessee Titans. I think Shedeur Sanders, each game he's played has progressed. I think he's shown a lot more each week from where he started when he came on in the second half of that game for his first ever throws in the NFL. I think they're starting to manage him. I think Kevin Stefanski, from listening to him talk now about Shedeur, I feel like he's ready to open up the playbook a little bit more to him and feeling a little bit more like he's on board to give him the rest of the year, which is positive. I feel like the completion percentage, which was a big thing for you last week, has improved. He just needs to build a bit more relationship with his wide receivers. I think they're not quite on the same page yet, but that's understandable of only having one full week's practice. I think once Judy and Bond and Tillman are all on board, Judkins is an absolute star. Defense is great. And I just can't see anything from this Titans team. There's a bit of fight in them. There definitely is that, but it only seems to come from when they're behind by a lot. That's when the fight seems to kick in. And I just haven't seen enough from them against this Browns defense, which is really, really good. It's got great Myles Garrett and Delpit both playing really, really well at the minute. Garrett's on for the most sacks of the year. So this is another game where he can really, really edge up those numbers. He's on for 28 sacks for the year if he can keep going at the pace he's going. And this is a game for him to do that. So I quite like, if it was -3, I'd be like, yeah, I'll love it. But I feel like the Browns have got to win. I think Shador's going to play better again. I think there's going to be more from him. So I'm quite confident of taking the Browns at -4.
Yeah, like you say, this is a weird one. It is kind of feels a little bit controversial because it is the Browns, and you don't know, there's very few times that you back the Cleveland Browns in probably many, many years, actually. But as part of the Sunday Accumulator article for free bets, I have got the Cleveland Browns to win this game. And the reason that I did it is I was sort of just, you look at all the stats and the results and stuff like that of what's gone before. And the one thing that stands out in this matchup is the Browns defense. That is the elite part of this matchup. The rest of it is very much, there's not a lot going on here. It's like the Titans in general, not great. The Browns offense has sort of spluttered about, not really done anything for most of the season. So it has been a bit of a struggle for them. But the defense is very, very good. I think that because of that, they've got a really good chance of getting somewhere. And yeah, I really like them for this. I think that the Titans just don't have much going for them at the moment. It's going to be tough. The only thing that I like about them is Chimere DK. I think that he's got the ability to be able to do something. But that's it. I mean, I was looking at touchdown scores for when we do our trebles later. I was looking at them for this game. Apart from DK, there's nothing. There just isn't anything that you want to back. And with the Browns, I was a little bit like, well, they have got a really good run game. Judkins is someone you can have. Harold Fanning has been doing okay. That's another one. And also because Shador is still kind of quite new into it, he is using his tight end quite a lot. Well, Fanning has been good and is a decent price and one worth looking at. And so you sort of think, okay, so they have got a couple of options here where they might be able to do something. As you say, maybe Sanders will have more of the playbook, be able to do a little bit more, use the wide receivers. I think he desperately needs to get Jerry Jeudy involved a lot more. And it would be quite good to see Cedric Tillman doing more as well. So I think there's potential there. Whereas with the Titans and Cam Ward, it kind of feels like, he's had the whole season and it hasn't really done a lot. It's been really, really difficult. He's had 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And it just doesn't feel like going up against this Browns defense is going to end well for him. I think that's the thing. So because of that, -4, it is over the field goal, but I think that they've got a good chance of pulling it off, and I definitely think that they'll win it in a game where the over/under is set at 34. I don't think there's not much expected of this game. I don't think it's going to take much for the Browns to win it. So
yeah, that's a very low under. I feel like I can see the Titans maybe getting to 13 at the most, and I can see the Browns putting up over 20 points. So I can see it. I can see it just scraping the over on this.
Possibly, I looked at it and I thought it was a very difficult one to really have a opinion on the over under of it. I think it will be tight, but yeah,
we're going to see more from Shador. I just feel like this is the week against the Titans. We saw a lot from him last week against a decent defense, so I just feel like they're going to let him do
I think
more.
we need to.
Yeah.
I think that we need to see more from him, and we need to see him progressing and see that happening. It's like, I think, although the accuracy I would say went up, it kind of felt like it didn't really amount to anything. It's almost like the 49ers just had the whole thing in hand last week and it was just all too much, which is understandable. It's only his second game, so it's fair enough. But I think it's one of them things when you go up against a team like the Titans, where they've been really struggling all season and then they've only got one win all season. You've got to show that you have something in order to be able to carry on. If he doesn't show that in this game, it's going to be an issue, I think, for him.
Yeah, as a GM of the Titans, I think the pick means more to them as well, being in that, having control of the table.
Well, I mean, there's no reason for them to win games, is there now? Really? I mean, like they have the number one pick. They're the only
They have
team.
the number one pick, but the Giants can obviously fall into that position if the Titans win games. So this is what I mean. If they hold the number one pick,
it's just they're the only one with one win, aren't they? And then is it right that the Giants are the Giants the only one with 2 wins?
Let's have a quick look.
Tennessee have won.
Jets got? New Orleans 2 wins, Vegas 2 wins, Giants 2 wins, Tennessee 1 win.
Okay, so it's kind of a case of they need to kind of make sure they don't win. It's difficult because players don't play like that, though, do they?
I know, but in terms of having that number one overall pick, which they're not going to need for a quarterback, gives them the chance to build for the future, which is what they need. So
because what they can do with that is obviously they can come down. I don't know. I mean, I suppose just quickly thinking about it, I suppose Vegas would be a logical team that would be looking for a quarterback. You would think. You know, they're in the 4th spot. They could be. You could do a trade with them.
Yes.
And the Jets are another one in 7th at the moment, so they're another team that you could go for, and it makes sense. You come back almost like you try and get. I suppose if you could do a trade with the Jets at 7, you would be trying to get a trade that was probably similar to what the Bears got from the Panthers for Bryce Young. So that's kind of what you're looking at, isn't it?
Yeah, and they can. I think it still gives them the opportunity if they're dropping down that far to get a Ruben Bain or a Arvell Reese or Caleb Downs. I feel like it's going to be maybe quarterback central at the top if they're going to go for them, and they still get one of those 3.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the draft show coming up in January. There will be conversations about this, but I'm not so sure it's going to be as quarterback heavy as what you think it might be.
Just think there's some needy teams, and I think there's a couple of quarterbacks that are worth taking a punt on near the top if you need one.
Yeah.
You're not sold. Classic Adam, not sold on quarterback. You know, if the quarterback isn't Josh Allen or Mahomes or someone of that or Burrow,
well, then it's not worth it, is it?
You're like, nah, don't even bother. So yeah, interesting one. Right, the next game I have gone for. Let's see if it's still the same or if it's moved. It's moved. I got it at -5.5. It's now -6, so it's not a lot different. On the Baltimore Ravens. At the Ravens against the Steelers. Ravens on a bit of a slump. Lamar Jackson, I think he's still carrying a bit of an injury because if you look at the way they're using him and the way that they're playing, I think he's in the last 3 weeks, is he like leading the league in scrambles, but bottom of the league in design run plays or something like that, which is completely against their script. I just think Baltimore has more for me with Lamar than Steelers do with a banged up Aaron Rodgers. You know, it's Aaron Rodgers. They're not convinced fully on the running backs totally at the Steelers and DK Metcalf, whereas I feel like Lamar, Derrick Henry, you know, Flowers, Mark Andrews with his big new contract. I just feel like they're going to be able, and Isaiah Likely, Collar if he's out there. I just feel like that's a bit more. Bateman it's got more going for it, and I think that both defenses are underperforming. So I'm going to go with the side of the ball I think can get more going on offense, which is the Ravens for me.
Yeah, I quite like this one. I saw it as -5.5 last night, but -6. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. I I think that the issue you've got here is you've got a Steelers defense that just is not the same as what it was, and it's fallen apart. And actually, I was reminded last night when I did a different podcast that it's the most expensive defense in the
Yeah,
league.
for the
Um,
fifth year running or something like that as well. It's the
yeah,
most
yeah. So
expensive.
loads of money's been put into it, and they gave up, was it 249 rushing yards against the Bills last week, which was like the most for 50 years or something like that. I kept hearing during the week. Um, I mean, if ever there was a team that could just spend all day rushing against you and do it successfully, then it is the Ravens. You know, I mean, that you've got to feel that Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson should have a good rushing game here. Like, there's no reason why that wouldn't happen. What was interesting was I was looking at the when I was looking for touchdown scorers again for the looking at this game, I couldn't come up with anyone on the Steelers. I was really struggling
DK
to
Metcalf.
find any. Yeah, DK Metcalf, but I was a little bit like, I don't even really like Metcalf at the price that he is, because it's
No,
like he's just not being used much, and there's just nothing there. And you sort of think, okay, if you're not going to go for him, you got the tight ends, but then you're like, well, which one's it going
which
to?
one's it going
So
to? And then the
that's the
running backs
nightmare.
have not been overly reliable. I think you went game well
No,
last week, didn't you? Thinking that was
yeah,
confident, and
just did nothing.
yeah,
So it's really, really difficult. So you've got a defense that can't stop anything, and you've got an offense where you're like, I don't like any of them to score a touchdown. So yeah, I'll take the -6 from the Ravens.
So I was looking into this because obviously we spoke about the Steelers on one of our shows, and I said to Freddie, if they don't go out and get a wide receiver in free agency, they're one and done in the playoffs. They won't get any further than that. And he was adamant they didn't need another wide receiver, and Calvin Austin was good enough as the wide receiver too. Do you know how many yards Calvin Austin's got on the year? He is their second highest wide receiver in yardage.
I can't imagine it's much.
It's just over 200 yards.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple of hundred. Yeah, it's like it's not a lot, and it's just like, and it's weird. We were sort of talking about it because we were talking about the AFC North as a division in the chat show on Monday, and I was like, there's this fallacy when you look at it. There's a fallacy that the Steelers have gone all in. Like they haven't gone in all in at all. I was looking at their draft picks for next year. They've got a first, a second, 3 thirds.
Yeah.
Like, I know one of them's a comp, but like it's just like they haven't gone all in at all. Well, basically what they've done is they've just replaced the quarterback.
A lot of veterans.
Yeah.
Push for more than one and done, I think. And they've realised that's not worked, and they've already moved off of Slay already. So, and it hasn't really worked with their running back that they've got. Who knows what's going to go on there, because I know you guys mentioned Tomlin going to the Giants, but that would be the worst thing in the world. A guy that hasn't been able to get his O-line sorted or anything, is very blind to modern offense.
Yeah, I
don't think that works at the Giants.
I think that was more like Fred was saying that that's what he'd heard. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's what would work. I don't think that'd be good for the Giants, really.
Someone would have to trade for him, wouldn't they? It wouldn't be.
Yeah, he's under contract, so yeah, you'd have to trade for him. But yeah, I wouldn't think that'd be great. But I do feel that maybe they are coming to a point with Tomlin now, and
a mutual agreement and move on amicably together, I think, is a nice thing to do. I do think he can have success in an organization that's set up for him to do what he does best. And I think the Steelers are ready for an injection of something on offense.
Yeah, and just I know it's difficult because you don't want to throw away something that you might perceive as safe, but it does feel like just the whole place in general maybe could do with freshening up a little bit and just starting again. And maybe that means that you have a couple of seasons where you are not 9-8 and maybe you end up being a little bit lower and picking higher in drafts and stuff like that. But I think it might actually be a good thing for that to happen for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of franchises out there that would kill to go 500 for a season.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
struggle at it, and he can go and do that. But the
Yeah.
Steelers isn't one. They need to
Yeah.
eventually push for another Super Bowl.
And Tomlin will get a job like that.
Oh, yeah.
He would easily.
Yeah, we're
get
not
a job.
saying that he's bad and he needs to be out. I just think he needs to go somewhere else and do what he does best somewhere else. The last game that I've got, Adam, this is one that split a lot of people. I've taken the -1.5 on the Colts at the Jags, where they have not had a lot of success over the last few years. But it's one of them. When I'm weighing up my options on this game, the spread is nice for betting if you like one side more than the other. When it comes down to it, they're very, 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 very similar teams. I can't trust either of the quarterbacks. Both teams are playing at a decent level at the moment. Both defenses I think, are good. I think both are performing well enough. I just think there's more on the Colts offense. I like more. I like their run game more. I like their offensive weapons more in the 3 wide receivers they have and Tyler Warren over what seems to be a little bit of just the run game's okay with Tootin and ETN. It's not as good as Taylor. And outside of that, it seems to be Jacoby Myers over. And there's not much coming from BTJ at the moment. So I feel like this one, out of all the games that the Colts have got left, is one they can win. I think it all goes down to which quarterback makes the most mistakes. Yeah, I just think Colts defense may be slightly better than the Jags. You might prove me wrong.
Yeah, so I'm on the other side of this nice betting thing. If you're on one or the other, it's basically a money line bet. To be brutally honest, that's what you're dealing with. Look, the reason I'm on the other side is that the Jaguars defense are ranked first in the league when it comes to how many rushing yards they give up. We have seen now in the last 2 weeks that the Colts can be stopped. Yeah, they've lost, but I would argue the last 2 weeks have been it's been obvious what the problem is. Against the Chiefs and against the Texans, when going up against a strong rushing defense, the Colts just disappear as an offense in general, because what happens is that Jonathan Taylor gets limited, and that's not his fault. He's just going up against a tough rushing defense, and it all gets put on Daniel Jones's shoulders. And we know what happens when that happens. It falls apart. So this is the issue. So you've got a very, very strong rushing defense in the Jags. They're not brilliant against the pass. So if Daniel Jones can get into a rhythm and do all right, he can go up against them and score points. I don't want to trust the guy who I know has a problem when the pressure is put on him, and also has a fracture in his fibula at the moment, which I know they are going to come out and say that he's fine and he can play with it and it's not a problem. But I don't care. If you have a fracture in your fibula, you are going to feel it, even if slightly. So it's like, I'm not a fan of it. This does not mean I am a fan of Trevor Lawrence. I think he's crap as well.
Well, my comment was you're not happy to put money on someone when the pressure's on, they don't perform. Well, what about a quarterback when the pressure's not on, likes to...
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Like I say, they are both crap. I am not putting money on Trevor Lawrence. I am putting money on the Jags defense to stop the run and limit them enough. The Colts defense, it's kind of a similar story, but they're just not quite as good against the run as what the Jags defense is, and they're not quite as good against the pass as what the Jags defense is. And that's the concern, where it just kind of feels a little bit like, I think the Jags defense has just got enough in order to be able to do this. as you said, there is a bit of history here where it normally does go in the Jags' favour as well. And it just feels like, there's a reason this is a 1.5 spread bet. It is a very, very close game. But I just feel like I'd rather be on the side of the home team that has history on their side and doesn't have a broken leg quarterback.
Fair argument. As I said, this game is a bet on the team that you think will win it the most. And
I do also worry about the Colts, that they've hit a bit of a wall. And they're starting to lose games, and confidence might start to go a little bit because of it.
Yeah, if they lose this one, I think it's definitely all downhill for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Adam, you're not a fan of that one. You seem quite comfortable with the rest of them. That's the game. So if we take that one out, which game did I miss?
Yeah, so the one that I'm going to go for, I'm going to go for the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football at -3.5 against the Texans. We saw how good a run defense the Texans are against the Colts. That's not really going to be an issue here because the Chiefs don't have a run game, so that's fine. So I think that the fact that you've got Mahomes on your side, they're not going to be able to run the ball, so he's going to be throwing it a lot. I think Rashee Rice has been great since he's been back. Xavier Worthy's looked all right in spots. Travis Kelce's kind of been reliable when called upon. So I think they've got the offensive weapons to be able to do something against this Texans team. Where I'm still not overly sold on CJ Stroud. And again, he came back to play against the Colts, and I felt like the offense performed worse with him than what it was with Davis Mills the weeks before. And it just kind of feels like, I'm not sure what's going on there. I just don't feel like it's necessarily going great for CJ Stroud at the moment. He's going to be away at Arrowhead. I feel like it's a tough matchup, and it's one that the Chiefs need to win as well. And it's kind of like, it's playoff football already for the Chiefs, and
they need to win out, don't they?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think they'll probably get this one.
Yeah. Spags will draw something up to disrupt that offense. Two good defenses, but Mahomes is Mahomes, isn't he? And as you said, Rashee Rice, I think I saw this week, I know it's fantasy and not, what's happening on the field, but I think I saw in the span that Rashee Rice has been back, he's outscored JSN in the same span, which if you think about how we're all banging on about how good JSN is and what he's done over the last few weeks as well, for Rashee Rice to have scored more points than him in fantasy, he's obviously doing something very, very right. He's definitely a one. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think last year before the injury, he had, didn't he get injured in like the 4th week or something? And there was like these crazy numbers in the first 3 weeks, and everyone was a little bit like, oh, hello, we've got a new sort of number one guy here who's going to really kick on and put up big numbers for the whole season. And then he went down injured. So yeah, I think for him, it's just going to be about him staying fit. And if he can have a season where he can stay fit in the same way that JSN has this year, I think you'll see similar, if not better, numbers from him. So yeah.
What's your avoid for this week?
So the one I'm going to avoid is the Buffalo Bills at -6. Now I know they're at home, and I felt they did all right against the Steelers, but the Steelers didn't really put much up against them, so it wasn't too difficult for them. I thought they did okay, but they're going up against this Bengals team that
has Joe Burrow back.
Yeah, it just felt like Joe Burrow came back, and all of a sudden there was just a massive lift. And what was really weird was a massive lift on the defense as well. It was just really strange, and I think it's just this big confidence boost. It's going to be an exciting matchup. The over's at 53, which I think is entirely plausible. It can go over. The Bills' defense is not good against the run, and the Bengals' defense isn't. Well, it was all right last week, but previously this season it has struggled all season long. So I think there'll be points in it. I think that you've got Joe Burrow, who's going to be more than capable of keeping up with Josh Allen in this game. Jamar Chase is playing. I'd expect Chase Brown to do pretty well against this poor Bills run defense. And I think that they've, given them a 6-point head start. I will happily take it, and I will avoid the Bills for this one.
Yeah, now Burrow's back. I'd put my money on Bengals to win against most people. I think your point that you're making there as well, it doesn't surprise me as much as it has you, because when you've got Burrow on the offense and he's moving the ball down the field each drive,
it's more time,
then the defense is not on the field as much. It's getting more time to rest. It's getting more time to watch the plays. It's getting more time to get on that film and watch the iPads and be a better defense. And not on the field. It's not three and out defense on. So I feel that they've got that time to get into the game a bit more. So it doesn't surprise me that defense was better with Joe Burrow on the offense.
I think the surprise to me is that this is a team that gave up 44 points, 49 points against the Bears not that long ago. And then only conceded 12 points to the Ravens. And it's just like, I understand the impact, but that's a significant impact. That's a huge, big change. So I suppose it's more the amount that it's affected it, but yeah, I think they've got a good chance of winning it.
Yeah. I
so
agree.
I mean, at 9-4 on the money line, I think they've got a good chance of winning, let alone the +6. So yeah.
Let's move on to the trebles then, Adam. Who have you got for us on the early?
My early one. So I've gone for Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seahawks. He didn't get in last week, which was a shame. We did him last week, but he's going up against this Falcons team that defensively they're pretty average, really. I think that he's got a good chance of getting in. I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring game as well. Actually, you've seen with the Falcons, they've hit 24 points last 2 weeks with Kirk Cousins. So I think a similar thing might happen here. I think he's going to have opportunities to score. So I liked him. He's only 10-11, so it's a bit short, but I didn't mind him. I've gone for Emeka Egbuka for the Bucks, going up against the Saints defense. I just kind of feel like the Bucks have they had their dip, and I think it was largely due to injuries, but I feel like they've come back. They've got a couple of wins now, and at 7-5, I think he's not a bad price. So I like Egbuka for this particular one. And then finally, in order to boost the price up a bit, because they are two small ones, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have gone for Brenton Strange at 16-5. The tight end has looked pretty good when he's been out there. He went on injured reserve and missed a chunk of time this season, but he came back. He's played 2 games coming back, scored a touchdown last week. Kind of feel like Trevor Lawrence trusts him quite a lot, and so that's definitely one at a bigger price that I quite like the look of, going up against the Colts defense that struggles against the pass. So 18.24 to 1 for JSN, Egbuka, and Strange.
Thought you were going to nearly give us an Ohio State treble then.
Ohio State treble. I was tempted, but the problem is that they're all too short.
Well, you'd also need.
Could have gone for Marvin's in the late one, isn't he?
You'd need 2 people from the same game. I think you'd have to go JSN, Chris Olave, and Jackson Smith and Emeka Egbuka for that one. I suppose you could go with McLaurin. McLaurin is Ohio State as well.
Yeah. Still a bit shorter though, isn't it?
I mean, well, yeah, you'd have a 2-1 in instead of a 3-1. I did 2 because I was really unsure, but both of them I've gone with Jackson Smith and Jigba. So
yeah,
that was a given. The first one that I went with was Njigba, Deebo Samuel, because I feel like there's points to be had in that Commanders game with Daniel's back, and he is 9-5. I like the odds on Deebo Samuel in that game. Gets involved a lot more in the trick plays and the rushing as well. So I feel like that's a good bet to be in. And then I also went with Darren Waller as well. Got a full game under his belt now, and was targeted, was used. Now 12-5. This is the week, I think, to get on him at good odds for a touchdown against the Jets. So really, really liked Darren Waller this week as well. That's 17.5-1 on that one.
Yeah, I liked Waller. I had him written down at 5-2. I thought he was a good price. What was the other one? JSA and Waller and
Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, he's shorter than McLaurin, which I don't quite get.
Well, Deebo's had, in the last 3 games, he's had 2 touchdowns, equally so as McLaurin, 2-2 for McLaurin.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you've got Jaden Daniels in there, it opens up Deebo a bit more for those trick plays, the swing passes, in the red zone, rushing the ball and things like that when Rodriguez is in there. And, I just think McLaurin
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Personally, I'd probably rather have McLaurin than Samuel. I don't know exactly. So they're decent prices, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm not sure with Deebo. I feel like he's kind of dropped off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. The other 2 people I liked that I was umming and ahhing on the bet was Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce 2-1 as well. Just bring him up just there. Alec Pierce has had, again, two touchdowns in the last 3 games. One in last week as well. He's the deep threat going up against the Jags team, which you said is not as strong in the secondary. They might have to rely on the pass. And I just feel like he gets involved a lot more. He's turned into a really, really good player for them. And then I also really liked Chris Olave again as well. He seems to be the go-to guy no matter who the quarterback is. Also getting in the end zone recently as well, I believe, because I've had him in my
he did last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been in twice in the last 3 games as well. Last week especially. So again, he's 2-1 as well. So there's a lot of 2-1s out there that you can put together, which give you great odds. So there's a lot to be had in the opening window, I think, this week that are good.
Yeah, I really like Pierce. It makes a lot of sense. I think if you want to do like a bit of a bet builder there's quite a few touchdown scorers that you could have in that game, in the Colts Jags game. And yeah, I think that Olave's got a decent chance, because the Bucks defense, again, another team that's very good against the run but does struggle against the pass. So you could see the only thing with the Saints is obviously you're hoping that Tyler Shuck has the ability to actually throw the ball.
You just know he's going to pepper Olave with the ball. So, I'm always
you got to think
money on people where the ball's going towards him. So,
yeah.
Who you got for the late game?
Late games, only 3 again this week. So difficult. But for the Broncos Raiders game, I've gone for Cortland Sutton. I just think that he's always one to go for, and he's 6-4, which isn't an awful price for him. So it kind of feels like it might be a bit of a low scoring game, that one, but you got to pick someone. So I went for Sutton at 6-4. For the Bears Packers game, I've gone for Christian Watson. I just feel like this Bears defense isn't all that, to be brutally honest, and it's like it kind of feels like that Watson is, to me, it felt like it was between Watson and Dobbs, and Watson was just a slightly bigger price, and I feel like they've both got a chance of getting in. So went for Christian Watson at that on that one for 7-4. And then finally for the Rams Cardinals game, which again, a lot of short prices for these players, and it's a difficult one. I've just gone for Trey McBride. I just know that he's going to see plenty of targets, 6-5, so he's above evens. And he scored a lot of touchdowns this year. I think he's had 8 this year, which after last year where he hardly had any, has been a big improvement for him. So yeah, Sutton at 6-4, Watson 7-4, and McBride at 6-5. 14.13-1. So a little bit shorter than the early one, but I think that they've all got decent chances.
Definitely. They've got that much of a decent chance that I also went Cortland Sutton. I also went Christian Watson. I feel like Christian Watson is the one to bet on because Jordan Love obviously wants to throw the deep ball and air it out a little bit. And if you've got Watson down there, I'd favour him to catch it over most people. So it's always the bet for me, I think, if he's fit and healthy, to get at least one in a game. So 7-4, I'll snap your hands off at those odds. And then the last game, I feel like it's going to be Rams heavy. So I wanted a Rams player over a Cardinals player. I know McBride's had 4 touchdowns in 5 games. So great bet to have. He's surely going to get in again. I went with the other tight end on the other side and went with Colby Parkinson at 2-1. Been in 3 times in the last 4 games. Do feel like they do use their tight ends quite a bit to move the ball down the field. 2-1 boosted the odds up a bit more, brings me in at 19.62 to 1. So the only change I've gone is I've gone Parkinson, you've gone McBride, and I've got 19.5 and you've got 14.5 or whatever it is. So, I feel like McBride probably does have the better chance, but I'm happy with Parkinson in that game.
Yeah, and I did an article for someone, and when I was talking about this, writing about this matchup, one of the bets I put was Colby Parkinson anytime touchdown. He should have a chance. He does seem to be getting involved a lot more, and he seems to be getting involved more than the other tight ends as well. So I think that's the important thing. Look, most defenses are going to stick to Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua like glue in order to try and slow them down. Parkinson becomes the third option who gets, an easier ride because of that. So I think that at 2-1, he's not a bad price. And I'm not against it at all.
Look at the touchdowns on there for Adams. 2, 1, 1, 2, 2.
Is it 13 he's had?
Well, he's had 7 in the last 5 games. So,
well, we saw him have 3, didn't we, in London? I think he's had. I'll quickly try and find it. I think that he's had 13 or 14 this season, which is like, it's crazy.
It's just automatic in the red zone. Once they get the 20 sort of yards from the end zone, it is literally automatic. Even though everyone knows where it's going, they know who it's going to go to, they just can't mark him.
So he's had 14. And the next one is Amon-Ra St. Brown with 9. Puka Nacua has only had 4.
He's been injured a bit in the middle, but
but not. I mean, not.
We have said in the past that
he's had more targets than what Devontae Adams has had.
But we've said this in the past, haven't we? That he is used more to move the ball down the field, and then they move off to other people. Whether it been Kyron Williams last year or Devontae Adams this year, he's been a big chunk play guy and move the sticks and get the ball to him and have all the targets, but not necessarily in the end zone all the time. So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, so Puka's just had over 1,000 yards, whereas for Devontae Adams is 689. So, like you say, it's the red zone threat, isn't it, of Adams, as opposed, and Nacua is the one moving it down the field. But yeah. So I mean, Adams has had a great season, and I think that I suppose we're probably guilty of it. And a lot of people are. We always look at the, next young guy to come out, but there's a hell of a lot of decent veterans out there, and Adams has been very, very good for many years.
Hall of Famer, definitely cemented it with this year with Stafford. That's all we've got time for, Adam. If your team is playing this week, which most are, I think there's a few buys still.
This is the last week, isn't it, of the buys? So
So. Best of luck to your teams and best of luck in your fantasy if this is your last week prior to the playoffs. You're shrugging your shoulders just because you're
I'm already in, mate. Number 1 seed. It's done. It's done.
But till then, keep it with the franchise tag and see you again very soon.